Let's bring in Fix California's senior advisor, political analyst, and attorney Katie Zachariah, along with former Border Patrol Chief and Deputy Commissioner Ron Vitiello. Great to see you both here. Katie, to you first. The governor of the nation's most populated state, we talk about Gavin Newsom there. He's in South Carolina. The mayor of the nation's second largest city, they could not care less about these unaccompanied kids, right? I want to put the picture up on the thing. Matt Finn showed it a little bit, but here's the kids. We have blurred the faces there. And you look at this and you think it's unbelievable that these are kids working at and that would be their focus, to say the government is finally doing something right by getting these kids out of a dangerous situation or this, but they don't, because it's all anti-Trump.
Well, you're often wondering, are they on the side of the children? Are they on the side of the American citizen? Are they on the side of the legal immigrant? No, they are fighting no matter what against President Trump for illegal immigrants at the expense of children. And so these poor, precious children that were at a pot farm, this farm is now being investigated for federal violations of child labor laws. Not to mention, the owner of the pot farm is a Gavin Newsom and Democrat Party donor. So what it looks like is we have Mayor Bass, we have Gavin Newsom, all defending the illegal immigration raids, yet President Trump is protecting these kids. The immigration officers are trying to bring them out of a very dangerous situation. So I don't think they're on the side of the American citizen.
Yeah, it sure doesn't look like it. The breaking news to you, Ron Vitiello, I want to get your take on this, because a Biden-appointed judge not long ago here in Los Angeles just ruled against the Trump administration to limit the scale of immigration raids. Here's a little bit from the ruling, quoting here, are the individuals and organizations who brought this lawsuit likely to succeed in proving that the federal government is indeed conducting roving patrols without reasonable suspicion and denying access to lawyers? This court decides, based on all the evidence presented, that they are. So now you have another judge telling the president how to run the country. Ron, what do you think?
Yeah, it is the tenure of the left. These activist judges, more activists than judges, are going to try to tell immigration officers how to conduct patrols in Los Angeles and presumably in other cities in the United States. And so the ACLU, the friends in the Biden administration who gave us chaos for 4 years have now found a judge that is going to try to restrict what the frontline officers are doing. And what exactly are they doing? They're serving the American people by cleaning up our streets, by securing our borders, and now she's going to try to tell them how to do their job. I can guarantee you she never went to the Border Patrol Academy. She never went to an immigration officer academy. No. She's never sat on the river and watched people cross the border illegally or arrested anyone on the street. Now, I don't expect her to do that as a judge, but I'd like her to do her job and recognize what the law is. A lot of what they're doing in Los Angeles is targeted enforcement. They're going after criminal wanted people who are also in the country illegally.
Meantime, you know, can you imagine a federal judge telling the FBI how to handle a raid, how to do something? It would not be tolerated. Karen Bass, on paying illegal immigrants, she said the following.
We also are going to have a reinstitution of the Angelino card, something that Mayor Garcetti started during COVID, that will actually provide cash assistance to people. Because, you know, you have people who don't want to leave their homes, who are not going to work, and they are in need of cash.
So if you came here illegally and then you committed another crime, just hang tight. We're going to give you a little cash to hold you over so you don't have to come out of your house.
This is looking insurrectionist. We are going to pay you to break the law. We are not only going to tell you not to follow the federal law, federal immigration law, now we're going to pay you to stay at your home and hide from the authorities that are enforcing laws that are nationwide. If they were against these laws, they should go through the legislative process and try to pass laws that say we're against federal immigration and we want open borders, but they're not doing that. They're paying people to break the law.
I want to put this video up, and here's some of it right here, Ron. But this video you see where you've got this marijuana farm. You see them throwing rocks at the officers. They were firing guns, the protesters, at these ICE agents. I just want your take as somebody who was kind of in this industry. What's your take on what you're seeing here?
Well, it's ridiculous. It's dangerous. Those officers that are having rocks thrown right at their head through the side window of those vans, that's attempted murder. That's assault. And they showed great restraint in not firing to preserve their lives or to preserve grievous bodily injury from happening to them. And so this is what the left brings you. The rhetoric that calls these people Nazis, the rhetoric that says people are being kidnapped, the rhetoric that says being in the country illegally is not a crime is all wrong. And it's causing these activists to be emboldened in cases like this. Those people are really lucky to be alive. Those agents are lucky that they didn't get grievously hurt.
They called Trump Hitler, and they continue to foment violence across the country. Ron Vitiello, Katie Zachariah, thank you both.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.